Hello and welcome back to the Championship Wrap. I'm Eloise Sawyer, joined once again with Andrew Henderson. Hendo, did you have a great weekend?
I had a really good weekend. We had a Thursday night game against Wakefield. A real
close one.
Yeah, a real slender win for us there. Wakefield was a cracking game for the neutral. Certainly it was squeaky bum time come the last sort of 5 or 10 minutes there for us. But again, plenty of championship action that was seen over the weekend.
Certainly was. Plenty of championship action. It all kicked off on Saturday with Batley Bulldogs hosting Toulouse Olympique, but they didn't walk away winners, 38-12 Toulouse, running away with it in the second 40, which is where they really sealed the deal, if you like. Yeah, look,
I think we spoke about Batley last week, and could they draw some confidence from that second half performance against Toronto? And boy did they start well, in that first half. Arguably their best half of football. Batley showed some real positive and encouraging signs for coach Matt Diskin. They were 12-10 up at half time, and they probably had the full-time team in Toulouse rattled there at half time. But second half, Toulouse just really stepped up the gears, come out of second, third gear, really started coming home. William Bartow, who I had at London Broncos a few years ago, was really pivotal and instrumental to a lot of the creative play that Toulouse had to offer. And they scored again some scintillating tries, as we can see here on the footage. Outstanding performance from them in the second half, and again just showed that they've really turned a corner. Toulouse, they're playing some really good rugby league football. For Batley, again, I'm not sure where this next win's going to come from. The problem for them is
trying to maintain that first 40 and take it into the second.
Absolutely, Eloise, trying to maintain those standards for longer periods, and that's the problem that they've got at the moment. They're having some really good patches of rugby, but just not playing well enough for long enough periods of the game to earn those results.
Well, our other feature game of the week is, of course, Featherstone Rovers. They were at home, but they weren't able to get the Brownies in this one. 32-22, Dewsbury Rams coming home with the chocolates. Yeah, disappointing there for Featherstone. Fantastic home form this season in the Championship. Yeah, they've been a bit shaky on the road, but their home form's been incredible. And unfortunately for those guys this week, they've not been able to seal the deal, as you said there, against a Dewsbury Rams side that has probably showed a lot of encouraging signs early in this season. They've been really competitive. So yeah, really competitive. And have really took, good parts of games in terms of they've started well, they've maintained those standards for long periods, but for some reason or another have not been able to manage and close these games out. So I'm really pleased for Coach Leigh Greenwood and his Dewsbury Rams side that they've managed to not only perform well for a first half, early part of a second half. They've had an 80-minute absolutely,
it's an 80-minute performance, and they got themselves again into a lead. And you're thinking, are Featherstone going to come back here? Because you know the quality that Featherstone possess. Are they going to come back here and finish this off? But then Dewsbury just stepped up, pulled away, and managed to have enough nous about them to finish off the Featherstone side and close that game out. So that'll be really pleasing for Coach Leigh Greenwood. He'll certainly feel that him and his side have took some massive steps forward this week with that win away at Featherstone, which is a tough place to win at.
Now let's take a look at all the action and just see how Dewsbury managed to get the win.
Dewsbury on the attack now, wide ball to Sykes. Sykes, neat little chip kick in, and Liam Finn's regathered and scored. And he opens the account for the Dewsbury Rams. Great try there, neat kick there from Sykes. Wide ball now to Reynolds, out the back to Boas, out the back to Golden. Nice face pass there to Briscoe. Scores in the corner. Well executed move there from the Featherstone Rovers. King at dummy half. Burrows low. Oh, his trademark try from Cameron King. Making a habit of this every week. Burrowing close to the line. And that's Robbie Ward out of dummy half. Ward through. Great line break here from Robbie Ward, the former Leeds man. Look at the support on the inside. It's Hooley. He beats Golding. Looks to link back up with Ward. He doesn't. He shows and goes. Tackled about 9 metres from the Featherstone try line as they scramble back. Short side attack now. Knowles. Wide past the Morton. He's in the corner. Great try from Dale Morton. Outstanding try there for the Dewsbury Rams. Sam Day, wide ball now to Sykes, to the line out the back to Finn. Looks to go wide to Hooley. Ryder, great hands from Adam Ryder. Oh, great try again in the corner for Dale Morton for his second. Beautiful hands from Ryder. Last tackle now. Finn goes out the back to Sykes. They're looking to run play here. Short pass to Kabula. Oh, great try for the Dewsbury Rams to extend the lead further. Featherstone now on the attack, kicking out a dummy half, shows it in, goes out to Reynolds, out the back to Golding, and it's an easy walkover for Golding, and the Dewsbury Rams misread in defence there from them. Easy try there for Golding. Ball goes wide to Reynolds, shows and goes, gets in between defenders. Oh, and Walsh will be disappointed. He fell for the dummy, and Ben Reynolds goes in, and that makes it 20 points apiece with a kick to come. Wide ball now, Finn back on the inside. Tabula. He just grenades it out the back there. Flick backwards. Finn regathers. Looks up. Looks long. Decides to kick long. Goes across field to Morton. He regathers it. Great take there from Dale Morton. Great one-on-one contest between those guys. Last tackle short side. Knowles. Will he get there? Yes, he will. Great try there from Michael Knowles in the corner for the Dewsbury Rams to take them in front. Sam Day, and he dives over. Dives over close to the line, and that's full time, folks.
Up next, of course, Barrow Raiders defeated at home 33-26 by the Swinton Lions. Swinton Lions look like they really were sort of in form this week and look like the better of the two sides.
Yes, and finally the Swinton Lions get a result. I've said for weeks they've showed so much spirit, effort, endeavour, week on, week out. And they just haven't had enough quality to get across the line and earn those results. They've been in games for large parts, have just been pipped on a few occasions. So I'm really pleased for Coach Stuart. Yeah, I am for Coach Stuart Littler and his side, because I have been willing them on and spurring them on, because I've been waiting for this moment for them. Unfortunately, against one of my old clubs, Barrow Raiders, unfortunate to see that. But, you know, fantastic for them to go there. And again, as we said last week, Barrow's not an easy place to go to. And it's a big result for Swinton to go there. I believe the game was, I think, really nip and tuck there. I think it was 18 points to 12 at half time in favour of the Raiders. Swinton came back through a little bit of, I guess, a stuff up really from Barrow. They did absolutely, yeah. The player didn't pack in with the shot clock, so they were reduced to 12 men. Swinton capitalised on that. I think they gained some confidence and belief off the back of that, and then they managed to get 2 quick fire tries. So I think Benyon and I'm not sure Paisley on dual reach from Wigan. That extended the lead, but Barrow hit back with 5 to go to make it 32-26. We were in for a nail-biting finish, but the Scotland international Oscar Thomas dropped the field goal and closed the game out and sealed the win. So fantastic there for the Swinton Lions. Great result. First win of the season.
Up next is a little bit of an upset. I certainly didn't see this one coming. Hendo, I'm not sure about you, but Bradford Bulls 26 put on a pretty impressive display to beat Leigh, just 12 points. Yeah,
look, this is a fantastic result for the Bulls. They've not been in the best vein of form in terms of results going their way in recent weeks. But one thing Bradford have been so far this season is they've competed hard, they've stayed in the fighting games, and they've made every game a contest. They haven't been beaten by a lot of points. They've always been in games, albeit not always been on the right side of the result. So it's a really pleasing win for John Keir and his men. Leigh Centurions, as we know, have bolstered the ranks with their dual reg and loan players from St Helens. It's really strengthened what's already a decent squad that they have at their disposal, and they've been playing some really good rugby league football in recent weeks. So, I mean, I tip Leigh to go there and get the job done. But by all accounts, it was a really good second half performance from Bradford. 12 all at half time. Not much between the two teams. I believe Leigh squandered some opportunities late in that first half. They had some really good field position and possession. Weren't clinical enough. Ill-discipline played its part in the second half. You're right there, Eloise. Johnny Pownell sent off for dissent to the touch judge. I believe an altercation with Liam Hood and Jake Webster had another sin bin there for him and Jake. So they were down to 11 men at one stage, Leigh. And
is that when frustration sort of leaks into the game, and that's when your heads get down and they sort of just their game plan goes out the door? Absolutely.
I think when you look at John Duffy's comments after the game, is that they were very disciplined first half in terms of following and executing the game plan, in terms of how they went about their business. Probably weren't as clinical as they'd like to have been, but second half just really lost their way, which is be disappointing for the coach and for his team.
Up next, of course, Toronto travelled to Halifax to face the home side, but they couldn't come away with the home side couldn't get the victory. Toronto 48, Halifax 12. Really was a game of dominance from Toronto, and certainly Andrew Dixon had his first hat-trick for his club, and he really is finding some form recently. Yeah, he's a really good player, is Andrew Dixon. I've been an admirer of him for a couple of years. I think on that edge he's solid. He really is probably the glue in that team in terms of, he's so reliable defensively. I think he's a real honest, solid player on that edge.
with the ball, runs some really good lines, can punch a hole, can line break. He's got the ability to pass as well. I think he's a very underrated player, is Andrew Dixon, for the Toronto side, and really pleased for him to get his hat-trick. I think John Wilkin as well was quite instrumental in that middle third of the field, just be that older head, just controlling things with the ball, and obviously, really putting his body about, for an old stager, still offering a lot to that Toronto side. And Nick Rawsthorne, the young winger,
his old side.
Yeah, who was obviously a product of the Halifax system. It's quite a story. He was a product of the Halifax system, went to Hull FC for a spell, now found his way at Toronto. He came in to replace Chase Stanley late on. He was drafted in late and gets a brace of tries and had an impressive game as well. So lots of positive talking points from a Toronto perspective. But for Halifax...
That's what I was going to ask. Is there pressure now in the Halifax and within that club, given their form this year so
It's
far?
a really good question. I don't like to put coaches or players under pressure, but the reality is, Halifax are a side that, yes, they've probably punched above their weight in recent seasons, have been the big overachievers in the championship, but have arguably been the best part-time team in the championship over the last couple of seasons. So there is expectation probably on that team and on that coach and his players to continue to progress and continue to improve. But it hasn't been the start of the season that themselves or their fans would have hoped for. But I'm confident that Richard Marshall and his coaching abilities, that he can turn that team and get them back playing well enough to get some results. But certainly their form has been scratchy at best in this early part of the season, but there is time, and the fans and the club need to stick behind their coach and their players and have the confidence that they can turn that around.
Yes, certainly that will be the case. Also, another big scoreline was Widnes Vikings 50, Rochdale Hornets just 4.
Wowzers, yeah.
A bit tough for Rochdale so far for 2019. As for Widnes, well, they've got rid of that -12 deficit given off after they went into administration. That certainly is looking pretty positive for them in a club that was only a couple of weeks ago in turmoil.
Oh, massive result for them now to be on that 0 points. 6 wins. They're back on the level playing field now. Fantastic for Coach Purtell and his men. And again, it was a demolition act, wasn't it? They were rampant in that game. I think it was 28-4 at half time, and then second half 22 points to 0. So Ryan Ince 4 tries, now becomes the leading try scorer in the championship. Fantastic for him, taking his tries well. But, for Rochdale, I feel a little bit for them, but I know they don't have the budget of a lot of these other clubs in the championship, and they are up against it. But, they did compete well for about 25-30 minutes. They were competing. They showed some signs there that there was some effort, and they were trying, so it was not down to lack of effort. But, the Widnes have just got too much class and quality in there. And once they got that little bit of their foothold into the game and got that bit of momentum,
throw the ball around and they can just run away with it.
Yeah, they got that momentum. They were too hard to stop, and it's just unfortunate in the second half that Rochdale couldn't sort of galvanise to make the scoreline respectable, and Widnes just continued to play with confidence and belief, and scored some fantastic tries. And wow, Ryan Ince 4 tries on the day. That's a fantastic effort.
Well, York City Knights suffered their only second defeat of the season. Their first one coming back all the way in round 1.
Yep.
Sheffield Eagles 24, York City Knights 16. Just wasn't the day for York City Knights.
No, it wasn't. And I'm going to turn to my mate, the cameraman Joe, who's a big York fan. And I've been doing it, Joe, haven't I? I've been tipping against York every week.
It's been working.
Unfortunately, it hasn't worked this week. Maybe it's because I mentioned it last week. That's probably been the curse.
Maybe you're just doing that because I took York and you just wanted to get me on the TV.
I don't know. But listen, in all honesty, York have had a fantastic season so far. To be promoted from League One,
they've probably surprised many as well.
Absolutely, they have been the surprise packer, and they've been worthy of it too. Though it's not like they've been just fluking these wins. They've been playing some really good football. They've been hard to break down. Been stubborn defensively, and also with the ball, they've asked some questions of the opposition, and all their results, they've thoroughly deserved. But obviously, there's going to be a time where they're not going to go through the season unbeaten, are they? So they had to get beat at some point, and it was obviously the turn of the Sheffield Eagles to do that, who in their own rights are in decent form, have recruited well in the close season, and they're going to be there or thereabouts in the mix to come the back end. So it's no shame for York to have lost to a very good Sheffield side at home. Again, another fantastic turnout at Bootham Crescent, and they're really starting to draw the crowds in. They're doing a lot of really good things, with their off-field marketing and community projects, as well as what they're doing on the field. It certainly all helps, doesn't it, when your first team's playing well, you've got the other things going well. They all work well together, and I think think the York club's got a real bright future over there. And
they could really be at the end of the season. They could really give some of those teams that are at the top of the leaderboard, aka Toronto, Wolfpack, and also to Toulouse, a bit of a run for their money and really throw in the competition and keep it quite close towards the back end of the season.
Absolutely, but hey, there's still a long way to go.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of games to go, so I don't want to jinx them too much. But at the moment, they're in a good place.
Positive.
They're playing really good football. If they can maintain those standards and bounce back, their task now is to show that bounce back ability next week and get themselves back on the horse and continue to build moving forward. But yeah, they've got every right if they do get into the business end at the back end to be a threat to some of these teams because they're a good side.
Well, Hendo, it is a little bit different. Usually we'll be previewing the next round, but of course this week is a little bit different because it is the Coral Challenge Cup. Certainly exciting time. Round 4, so now the championship teams get involved.
Yes.
Let's take a look now at the matchups and what's really stands out to you, Hendo?
Well, looking at these fixtures for me, Eloise, I think the first one looks tasty. Barrow Raiders at home to the York City Knights. Just if you cast your mind back to earlier in the championship season, York absolutely thrashed Barrow. I think 56 points to 0. So I think the Raiders will be very determined to deliver a performance, certainly off the back of losing to Swinton this week. They are at home. They owe their home fans a performance. And this could be the competition. Sometimes with clubs and teams that aren't in great form in their league campaigns, they can really use the Challenge Cup as an opportunity to reinvigorate their season or bring them together or gain some confidence or momentum and belief. So it's a really important time, certainly for the Barrow Raiders club and its team. So that one looks a tasty fixture. Moving on, I think looking at the other fixtures, Keighley hosting the Bradford Bulls will be a classic game because they're two local rivals.
So the crowd will be loud.
Absolutely. And it's great for the Keighley club because Bradford will bring a huge travelling support. It's just down the road. So that's going to generate some good income and revenue for them as a club, for that League One club. But, I'll take my hat off here. Keighley will really challenge Bradford. And sometimes, I know they're in the different divisions. Keighley a League One side, Bradford obviously a championship side. But Keighley will leave no stone unturned and they'll give a good account of themselves on the weekend. But I do see Bradford probably nicking it. But it'll be a great day out for both sets of fans. Good banter, good rivalry, and there should be a good crowd there too. Fantastic.
Lastly, the last one that stands out to you, Hendo?
Yeah, finally, I think this one looks great, doesn't it? It's got all the makings for a classic. The Sheffield Eagles at home to the Leigh Centurions. Now,
Leigh bouncing off a big loss as well. How will they respond, but also going into a Challenge Cup game?
Absolutely. Well, like you said, they've come off a disappointing performance against the Bradford Bulls. We saw Coach Duffy's comments in the press afterwards. He wasn't too pleased.
He apologised to his fans.
Apologised to his fans, as you said. So he's looking for a response. Now, the key for me is that with Leigh Centurions is they have a lot of players on loan from St Helens who I think will not be able to play because they'll be cup tied. I think Saints will pull back their players from dual reg and on loan for this weekend. So that's actually could affect the Leigh Centurions squad in terms of who they have available to select because they've been building some really good combinations in recent weeks with this introduction of a host of St Helens players. And it all depends on the Saints club. I would assume that they will pull those players back so they are not cup tied for future Challenge Cup rounds, which that may play its part in terms of Leigh. So it's a real challenge now for the Centurions. Can they galvanise with obviously missing some players, which I think potentially is going to happen, and then can they deliver a response that's needed against the Sheffield Eagles side, who, knowing Mark Aston as I do, will want to get on a great club run. He's one of the tightest men in rugby league, so he'll want to get the money from the future round. So he's going to want to go as far as he can. But also, he's a proud man. He's a fantastic history in the Challenge Cup, being a player that's won the Lance Todd Trophy as well. So he's going to want to make sure he's involved as far as they can go. So I think it's got all the makings for a great Challenge Cup tie there at Sheffield on the weekend.
Thanks so much for your time here on the Championship Wrap. Andrew Henderson, thanks so much for your time. Great insight into the game of rugby league, and enjoy the game this weekend with the Challenge Cup, of course, round 4 kicking off. And next week we will be back to preview round 9. And of course, look at some of those games that we've seen, or we've just spoken about them for the Coral Challenge Cup, and seeing how the team's fared.
Absolutely.